Hello, welcome back to Reynante LiveNoding. In this episode, we're gonna try to recreate this artwork. It's kind of similar to what BEEPLE is doing here. BEEPLE is one of kind of computer graphic artists that I'm a big fan of. His artwork is always kind of interesting and very, very well done setup. This is something that you can recreate procedurally. Maybe I will not make something that's this complicated yet. Actually, I will make something more like this. Like this is artwork by Reynante Martinez. He made this setup. It is actually all animated using particle simulation and kind of I think a wave modifier. I think I'll make something similar. Okay, so this is what I came up with. The funny thing is, this thing actually looks more like kind of like a pyramid or stupa or maybe like a Candi. If you are in a country like Indonesia, Candi, it's a kind of like a structure, ancient structure that you might find in the history books. Anyway, this is all built procedurally. I can quickly bake it, and you can tell what it is exactly I'm trying to do. It's gonna be pretty basic, but I'm using this ring basically. They're all kind of stacked in terms of the value, how they are being extruded. There's one part that I actually probably need to correctly think about, like this part. I can make it grow, but the middle part, which is like a different primitives, which is based on cylinder, is something that I need to adjust again and again. It's a I don't know how to explain this bit, but the middle part needs to be adjusted. There's must be like a formula for this, but for now, I guess this should do it. Yeah, so you can tell already this is just a cylinder and ring, and we just use extrusion for the ring and to get this kind of a stepping kind of effect. Okay, so just let's get started from scratch. And new, I'm gonna be using sphere chalk. You can also use animation nodes. Actually, animation nodes will be perfect for animating this kind of thing. Let's get started with the cylinder. Let's have a cylinder. I like to use a viewer draw for starting point, and let's make it just four, like a pyramid, just four-sided, and you can kind of already tell where this is going. We basically need a cylinder, and then we need another primitive, which is just the ring, because like this guy, the apart from the box, everything else is kind of like hollow. So that's you can either extrude it or just start with a ring. Ring is already kind of hollow. So if I hide the cylinder, so that's the default ring. And let's reduce the circular section. Keep it simple. Make it 4. Turn on cylinder again. Let's have a look. Okay, that's apparently the ring needs to be adjusted in terms of radius. So that's kind of doing it. Maybe we need to change to exterior and interior. So that's maybe that's what we should have, or maybe use the major. Hey, maybe use this instead. Reduce this guy, and this should be 0.5, and this guy should be 0.5 as well. So now they are like exactly matching. I'm gonna save this. This is SV pyramid. We know the value that's kind of related to each other is this guy and this guy, radius top and bottom. So no matter now how I scale it, it should actually match. Actually, I'm probably doing it wrong, but maybe it doesn't matter for now, really. Keep it like that, and the radius. Okay, the radius might actually be correct. Like my plan is to use a range float at some point and plug this into the major radius, and we're gonna have this set up pretty easily, kind of like a repetition. So we need to adjust it slightly, I guess. Should be 1. Okay, 1 and 1, and then the count can grow. Okay, that's promising. Seems to be getting somewhere. The next thing we want to do is actually to extrude the ring. To extrude the ring, we just use the extrude region. Pretty basic. Lots of procedural setup that looks complicated. It's actually pretty basic underneath. And matrix in. Let's get vector in for the extrusion. This is for the direction of the extrusion. Of course, it's going to be in the z-axis. But of course, this has to be like a stepping as well in the z-axis. So we need to use another range float. You will see really soon. Okay, apparently I was wrong. We cannot use the vectorizations inside the extrude, because you can see currently it's extruding it kind of stepping on itself. That can be useful, but not for, in this case we're not gonna extrude it stepping that way. We're gonna use the scaling instead. So the scaling is gonna be here. Slightly surprising, right? Vector into the scale, and let's see. Okay, basically we need to have like a multiple. So we actually have 7 ring being extruded on top of each other. Now we want to have 7 ring being scaled differently, like so. Okay, that's starting to get somewhere. Let's turn on this shading. Seems to be working, except that it's kind of the opposite way. So we need to reverse the range. This reverse there. Okay, now it's reversing itself. Okay, now we are getting somewhere. The count should be the same. So we give it 7 for the count. This is the number that we can change anytime. It's the parameters to change. Whoa. And then what else? The vertices also needs to be the same. So the vertices of the cylinder should be the same as the ring. Like so. So we can have hexagonal, we can have like a circular kind of pyramid. We can have, of course, just 4. You might notice that there's a kind of like a shading weirdness here. I think the ring is actually flipped. It's being flipped. If I bake everything and then have a look, and then turn on this backfast cooling, you can see that the normal is a bit flipped. So we don't want that. We want to flip the normal of the ring before we extrude it. Flip normals. That's another note. Turn on reverse, and we have a proper shaded object, turn off the points. Okay, now, so yeah, we have the cylinder and this kind of like stepping pyramid kind of thing. Currently, the middle part doesn't have any relationship with the rest of the structure. There is some math behind it, but for now I'm not quite sure actually. So we can do neat thing like that, like increasing the stepping between this part. The height is being controlled here. Step. So if we have like a one unit step for that guy, how is the height gonna be? The height is gonna be actually 3. So this is weird actually. It's around 3.7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe because of this as well. This is the height. 0.5. So 0.5 times 1 times 2.5. Maybe around 3.5. View, front, orthographic. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 0.5 times 6, 3.5. Okay, maybe if we use a number here, this is 0.5, and we know that we have 6 over there. I'm gonna use the multiplier. I'm not like so good with math actually. I'm kind of okay with math, but every now and then we encounter something that needs some kind of formula. Multiply plus 1, I think this guy. Kind of guessing here. Add, where's add? Okay, add this, and this goes in there, and the output should go into the height. Hopefully this works. Yeah, but that seems to be working correctly. So this is gonna be controlling the height of each stepping, or stupa. I think it's stupa they call it in India. In Vietnam, India, Egypt, Indonesia, all these countries have all this kind of pyramid kind of structure. Maybe it's for the aliens. I don't know. I think in the US they have one. It's they call it the Apple Park. Of course, it's coming soon. All right, now we have our pyramid. Pretty cool. Pretty easy to set up, and everything's procedural. And then now that we have something like this, of course, you can generally create this kind of animations like BEEPLE. BEEPLE is using hexagonal. It's I don't know. He made this thing pretty interesting. There's a slight variations with the design as well. I think he's very clever with the texturing and the shadings. Amazing artworks. Martinez also, Reynante Martinez also have some really cool Blender materials. Me, I would like to render as good as that time to time, but I don't have time mostly. Just have to think about new ideas every day. Okay, so this is the setup. Okay, it seems to be working nicely. You can turn it into a monad. This is really like a pyramid. Currently we have, of course, 2 objects. This is the, but once you bake it, it's become multiple objects. You can, of course, join them as a single object, and of course they are actually looking like this. If we separate them, kind of like a toy. It's pretty neat. there you go, that's the whole setup. And you can build something like this pretty easily under, how long this is, 15 minutes. So yeah, hopefully you find this useful. Feel free to just modify this to your own purpose, but pretty sure you will learn something here in terms of using range float and kind of thinking like a procedurally, like how the value goes up per structure. Well, anyway, if you have any question, feedbacks that something that I don't know, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks again for